Hello once again. Welcome to Crafting with Karen. Today we're going to be talking about some of the things that we have coming up, some of the things that we've done in the past, and where you can go to find the instructions for this as well. Do want to mention one thing I had told you about was a vase that I had done, and I do want to make sure I show that to you. This is made out of just a stemless wine glass, and what I did was I took a napkin. Remember the last video I did when I decoupaged something and had problems with the napkin? This is the very same napkin that I did, and then I just added the pretty flowers. So we have this, and then this is the cutting board that I had done, and so you see that they do go together. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to make sure that your little area that you decorate coordinates, and this is one of them. All right. Be patient with me, be patient with me. One of the other crafts that we have done in the past, and I just want to show it to you again, was our candy cane wreaths. And Dollar Tree does have the candy canes. I have seen them in there, so you can go in there to get them and make this. We do have the video out on this, and you can follow along, or if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me as well. Next, we have gnomes. Aren't they cute? This is Big Brother. This is Little Brother. This is something that we will be doing in the next couple of weeks and posting on the website or YouTube, where you can go back and you can watch it. Now, this is actually made out of yarn that I purchased. You can use other things, and when I go over this, I'll give you some options that you can do as to how you can make them and how you can make the beard and different things like that. So stay tuned for that. Now, something that I'm really excited about is that we are in the process of having some live interaction crafting. We will be starting that in November. And one of the things that we're going to be doing, and you will be able to see the video because we will go back and film this, is this little Christmas tree. This tree is made out of a book and some garland, and then I've just put some little embellishments on it to make it pretty. Now, this particular book is made out of a graphic novel, and understand the books that we use are books that have been discarded due to damage to these books. They're not new books that we've gotten and said, oh, well, let's just tear them up and use them. These are books that are discarded because they are no longer something that we can use in the library. So we have this one of this size. And then last week I went back and I made another one. Now, I have not decorated this one, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like without the decorations on it. This was actually a Frank Sinatra. I hated to get rid of Frank Sinatra, but there was issues with the book, so I was able to get some of the pages and make it into one of the trees. Now, next in December, keep an eye out for the date, we will be doing another craft in person, and this is the craft that we will be doing. We're going to take some wine glasses and we're going to decorate them and get some candles and some embellishments, and there's a lot of different things that we'll be able to do with this, and I'll give you some options on that. You do need to understand that there is limited space, so we do have to have pre-registration. We will have a wait list, so you will be able to do that as well. And if someone does happen to cancel, we'll get in touch with you and let you know that we have an opening. But it is limited. Please be sure to call the library and register for our crafting. Keep an eye out because advertisements have started on this, and there'll be some more coming out in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so today, what are we going to do? We're going to make a heating pad that you don't have to sew. So, give me just a moment. Let me move this out of the way. And move this one out of the way. So what you need to make this this heating pad is some material. Now, the instructions that I found said that you could get a fat quarter. Karen is not a seamstress. I had to find out what a fat quarter was. In fact, I went and looked it up again to make sure I told you correctly. So let me read you what the definition of a fat quarter is so you'll know. A fat quarter is cut crosswise from a ½ yard piece of fabric. It's basically an 18 by 44 inch rectangle cut in half to yield an 18 by 22 fat, a 1/4 of a yard piece. So It's just a piece of material, people. And this is the material that we're going to be using today. Now, depending on how you do it, you can either cross it over, or if you want to make a smaller one, cut it in half and do it this way. But we're going to actually cross ours over. So the material that you need is a piece of material. You can always have a yardstick just in case you need it. I didn't actually need this. You need some liquid stitch or fabric glue. The reason why you get that, you could possibly use hot glue, but this is for fabric, which makes it adhere a lot better. You can pick them up at Walmart, Target, any of the craft stores. I'm not sure if Dollar Tree has it or not, but just get a tube of this. You don't use a whole lot of it, but it's something that's handy dandy to have with you in case that hem comes out of the pair of pants that you're wearing and you need to do a quick stitch. You can use this, just a dab though, just a little bit. Don't use the whole lot. And then I have a great big bag of rice. You don't use all of this. Got this because this is also what we're going to be using when we do the little gnomes in a couple weeks. So we have this. Scissors, just in case you need them. You never know when you might have to cut something. And actually, you're supposed to have straight pins. However, forgot to bring my straight pins, so you make do with what you have. So I'm going to be using safety pins today. And that's something you need to understand when you're doing crafting. If you don't have the right material, or maybe you don't have exactly what I tell you as far as the supply list is concerned, improvise. There's things that you can do. You don't have to do it exactly the way. That's what makes it your special piece of craft. And something else that you can also use in doing this craft is essential oils. You know, they say that it's very, very relaxing with certain ones. And one of the ones that said was relaxing was peppermint. To be honest with you, this is a little bit overpowering to me. I think I possibly used too much of it when I did my original one. So you need to be very careful when you are doing your addition of your essential oil, because it can be overpowering at times. Now, the way after you've made this that you get this, because it is a heating pad, is you do put it in the microwave with a cup of water. Be sure and use a cup of water because it helps keep the moisture in and it doesn't mess up the rice. And I would suggest you do it for like 30 seconds and check it, and another 30 seconds, because you don't want it to get it's so hot that you can't use it. So keep that in mind. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take our piece of material and we are going to fold it in half. Now, they tell you that you can iron it, and that might not be a bad idea. And it's also better to use 100% cotton, by the way. I failed to mention that. But you fold it over so that your bad side is out. So this particular piece of material doesn't really matter. But if I have a piece of material that I have a design on one side and it's blank on the other, I want the two designs facing each other. Keep that in mind. Should have bought a piece of material that had that, but I didn't think about it. My bad. So you put them together, and then you take your pins and just go down. It'd be easier with straight pins, don't get me wrong. And pin all the way down on both sides and in the opening. Now, you have to keep a little place open, because if you don't, then you can't get your rice in and you can't turn it right side out. So make sure when you do your pinning that you leave about this much space to be able to pour the rice in. You can use other things from rice, but it was just easier for me to use the rice. But you can actually use dried beans, and there's a few other things that you can use as well, but I think the rice probably does it the best. But if you'll notice, I am pinning all the way across, and I have left a space open here that I can put my hand in, because also remember, you're going to turn this inside out. So I have gotten it pinned. Then I take my liquid stitch, open it up, and move the seams away like this, so that you go to the pin, and take your liquid stitch and put just a little bit. You see how I did that? The liquid stitch, take it down, press them together. And it takes 30 minutes or so. It tells you the different ones take different amounts of time. But whatever it tells you on your instructions as far as letting it sit so that it will dry, do that because you don't want it to come apart. Of course, you can always go back and do a little bit of dabbing if you need to. So we're going to pretend that I've gone all the way through because Karen went ahead and did one that already has a liquid stitch all the way around it. So if you'll notice, it's stitched together. Okay? So now what I have to do is go back and take my pins out. Ding, 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 ding. I love Jeopardy too, by the way. But you take it. Maybe I won't stab myself with the pins. But if you'll notice over here, I have a little bit of an opening. So I need to turn this right side out. So I stick my hand in, grab it, and pull it through. Now by doing this, I also get finished seams. See how this seam is right here up at the top? Take your finger and press it out, and looks a lot better than this one over here. So it's important that you do that as well in all four corners. Just kind of push it out, and it gives you more of a finished look. So the next thing we do, we've got our little pillow or heating pad fixed. The next thing you need to do is to get your rice. Now I have my rice in here already, and I've already added a few drops of essential oil. Once you add those drops to the rice, you need to stir it up. So get you a spoon or something to just stir it up. And I would only put 1 or 2 drops in there to see how it is. Now there's not a whole lot of rice in here. You can add, you don't want it so full that it's puffy. You want to be able to manipulate it some. So usually this is about maybe a cup. Probably about 3 cups is what you need. But what you do, oops, where's my hole? There it is. You find where your opening is. It's easier if you use either a measuring cup or something that you can manipulate, and you pour the rice in. Now, once you get all the rice in that you need, make sure that your seam is in, and you take your liquid stitch again, and you're going to run a bead right down there, hold it together, and let it stay, and it will glue together. Then you have your little heating pad, and you can make them smaller. There's other things you can make them out of. I have seen them where they were made out of white athletic socks, but please go buy a new pair. Don't use your husband's ratty ones that he no longer uses. You want a fresh pair of socks. And if you use that, then of course you could do the liquid stitch and then tie a ribbon around it and make it really pretty. Then you could use that around your neck a lot easier. So there's a lot of different materials that you can use. This just happens to be the one that I chose. But as I said, it's better to use cotton than polyester. There's something about it that goes through there. They did suggest using 100% cotton. And as usual, if you have any questions, you can email me at karen.garris@waynegov.com. Thank you, and catch you on the flip side.